This is Advisor 3.0, a show designed to help you as a financial advisor elevate your professional practice, transform your clients' lives, and take your business to the next level. I am Abraham Okusanya. Welcome to the show. If you've listened to me for any amount of time, you know that I am passionate about the growth of the financial planning business. And you may have heard me talk about my guest today. David Gibson is the managing director of Gibson Financial Planning, which to my mind is one of the best financial planning businesses out there. It is based in the wealth management capital of the world, in Coleraine, in Northern Ireland. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
David, do you want to, just in case our audience hasn't been listening to me enough, I have mentioned your name in several presentations. Actually, yes, okay. That I have done. But tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, and then we'll come to talk a little bit about Gibson Financial Planning.
Sure. Where do you want me to begin?
As far back as you want.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I went to Queen's University Belfast, fell into doing a law degree, knew after 1 month that was not an area that I wanted to pursue, but I didn't know what else to do, so I carried on. I had always vowed that I would never work with my dad, who had set up the firm back in 1991. But yeah, after I graduated, the plan was in my head that I would work in a retail shop, something like that, for 6 months, and then travel for 6 months. After the 6 months in the shop, I had a call from my dad. Did I want to give it a crack, working with him? And I thought, why not? So yeah, I moved back home, which was another challenge, living at home, working with my dad. And yeah, I started the exams, the FPC, did them in the first year, and that was me on my way. Yeah.
Beats working on the shop floor.
Do you know, I actually, yeah. I think working on the shop floor made me realize what I didn't want to do. Right. Having to ask someone's permission to go to the toilet. That's that sort of thing. That's not me.
So you walk your way through the FPC. You became a certified financial planner.
Many years later.
Many years later.
Yeah, I think because I did the FPC, and realistically, I did mortgage work for a long time, right? Which I kind of enjoyed. Until I didn't. It got a bit boring, and then I got married in 2006. 2010, my wife, she was a teacher. Neither of us were particularly inspired, motivated by what we did. So we decided we would head off on a trip that was well outside our comfort zone. We went to Nepal. With everything on the table, we were prepared to quit, move, leave the country, whatever. And actually being there had the opposite effect. It really settled us. So we both realised that we appreciated family and community. We already had that where we were. So I came back, we came back home. I mean, it wasn't a massive trip or anything in terms of duration, but I decided, I'm going to stay in Coleraine. So my dad at that time, he was probably mid-60s. So we had a chat about RDR was coming. He wasn't about to do the exams. It was kind of a make your mind up. Are you going to go on with this, or are we stopping? So I decided to go. And then I discovered Paul Armson. I signed up for the Inspiring Advisors. Loved that. At the same time, I did the CFP. And it's just gone from there. Yeah. So in, several years later, you took over the running of the firm. Yeah.
So paint a picture where the firm was at the point that you took over the firm. And then let's fast forward to 2025. and give us a picture of where the firm is. And I do want you to. I know you're not. Big on metrics. I am.
I know you are. Yeah.
Give us, and my audience, our listeners will understand why I always talk about David based in Coleraine. So give us some metric KPIs just for us to understand the picture of the journey that you've been on and where you are today.
Yeah. So I guess at the point that I decided that I wanted to do something along the financial planning investment route rather than mortgages, transaction only. Yeah, it was a case of, I suppose I think if you start from scratch, it's easier. Whenever you're trying to develop or turn a big tanker around, it's hard. So at the time, it was very much a transactional type firm. Probably like a lot would have been at that time. My gut feeling at the time, I've always enjoyed building relationships with people and entering into long-term relationships. I mean, that is what I like to do. The mortgage work was not like that. You were maybe seeing someone every 2 or 3 years if their mortgage deal came up, and the business model for the firm as it existed then was very much new client. So it was a case, so getting to where we are now, it's, like 95% of turnover is repeat, existing client business. That's taken quite a while to get there. It's been a slow, steady, it's taken quite a while, 15 years, I suppose, to get to where we are now. Yeah, and I was chatting with you, a few months ago, and I was just saying, last year, if you told me in 2010 that last year I'd be bored and comfortable, knowing that I was on my own path to financial independence, and at a certain point in the future, I'd have bitten your arm off.
Right.
But, realistically, I'm middle-aged, and it was this kind of, okay, so I'm financially comfortable. The business is at a stage that I never thought it would be. But that just setting myself a target next year for an extra 10% in turnover, there was a time whenever that had to be the case, and every year we did, it was small growth, but there was growth every year. There has to be, there was something missing. So an old school friend sponsored a seminar in Belfast that I missed, but I found out about it from his Instagram, and I said, so I looked up the name of the guy and immediately started listening to his podcast. I was drawn in. He's a mindset and performance coach based in Northern Ireland, and there was a lot of trepidation about getting in touch because I kind of knew that it would trigger something. But I've always sort of realized that where there's resistance, that's where the growth lies. So engaged with Seamus Fox, and it's been quite a year. In turn, it's come down to my mindset. That's been the only real change. And he's very big on working out what your values are. And anybody who knows me would know that health and fitness and family are two of my biggest ones. I couldn't have told you what the third one was until I was working with him. But I realized that, I had a real drive to see people thrive, and I can help them do that with their financials. But I had a fear around, because I've seen so many people grow their business and they're out of shape very quickly and physically out of shape, and they don't see their kids growing up. So addressing that one head on, that there might actually be a way of growing without losing those other two. Because I love, my kids, they're 12 and 14. We're very much aware that we've probably got 4 or 5 years left with them, in terms of the trips that we want to do.
5 summers.
and the weekends too. It's not going to be Tobin and Daisy are not going to want to spend every Saturday with me, maybe in a year or two, and I didn't want, to be the businessman who's very much overweight and, all of that. I'm not judging. I'm
bald.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, that's happened, yeah, some time ago. But, yeah, so getting... there was a real... so I sort of got to the point where, okay, I can see that this is something that I've been tamping down, and I really want to kind of go for it now. So the slow, steady growth, it's happened, but keeping on with slow, steady growth for the next 10 years doesn't really excite me that much. But so I've really been evaluating, what's important to me, what it is about the job that I love, and the impact that I want to have.
So you came to we had this conversation last year, and if I recall, you're going to correct me. Give me a picture of where you were, sort of clients.
Okay. The metrics.
The metrics. Okay. Yes. And then because I think it is important. I'll
okay. So like we have. Yeah, so AUM is always the one people talk about. So at the minute, it's about 124 million. We have... So for the last number of years, 5-10 years, I've done nothing but the full financial planning with new clients. Mm-hmm. But I was never comfortable with the idea of getting shot of clients who'd been with the firm for 20, 30 years.
Right.
So we do keep on... clients who are investment only. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't be clients necessarily that we wouldn't take them on now. But I'm not going to leave them behind. So we've got a different service level for those people. We're in touch with them every year. Sometimes if they get in touch and want something done, there's an additional one-off fee, to cover that. Works for everybody. But, the relationships that have been built up for a long time. So, if you were starting from scratch, you wouldn't have this issue. You could focus just on the new stuff. But, so in terms of numbers, my own financial planning clients, they would number about 60. I would check this yesterday. But 65.
Because you knew everyone was going to ask.
Exactly, yeah, and I didn't know. So, but 65 full financial planning clients, and we've got about 170 investment only.
Right.
We did have another advisor, Derek, who retired about 2.5 years ago. And with the sort of conversation around, do those clients go elsewhere? And we've been able, we've got a really capable office manager, Amy, who has been fantastic. She joined at the same time as Derek left. And we can make it work. So we've got their investment only, and they receive quite a light level of service. We proactively will contact them, but yeah.
And you would turn over 700,000?
Well, so not quite, but I've got a goal for that. Yeah. Which it's the first time I've put a. Yeah, as I was saying, so increase in turnover by 5-10% a year was fairly safe for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of knew I was setting myself a goal I would hit as well. So now, working with Seamus, we're working on. Do you know Cameron Herald, the Vivid Vision?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the framework that he would use. So I'm working on that for myself. Yeah. So it was kind of scary to realize I'll be 50 at that point. It sounds old, but. So I've always had this. Yeah, I'm aware of a couple of advisors. You'll know them too. Who are on their own in terms of and it's kind of the 1 million. That kind of figure. I've always had a thing I would like to do that.
But you've always, in my mind, you were turning over. Years ago, you're doing 500,000 plus, which is like twice the average advisor.
You always told me that, and I never Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is, and you never, this is the thing that struck me. You never really thought that you were doing anything, extraordinary, and you were so incredibly humble about it. And I'm looking at the numbers when we talked about this and thinking, it's doing 2 times, 200% of the average advisor, is not because he's based, as I joke, in the wealth management capital of the world. You're based in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
And we had this conversation where you said to me, Abraham, at the time you weren't looking to necessarily grow the business in any meaningful way.
I know. I remember that conversation, and here I am. Yeah. It's changed.
And something changed, right? Something changed. Was it that was it when you were going through that period?
Yeah.
Was it fear? Was it burnout? What was it?
Yeah. Do you know, I was limiting myself. It was a limiting belief. Yeah. It was. Do you know Jim Rohn? You will, I'm sure.
Jim Rohn, yes, I do.
I remember watching a video clip of him, and he was like, "Why not you?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah," because I always talk myself down. I'm based in Coleraine. If I lived in London, wealthier clients, turnover would be bigger. It was this, but yeah, like I've. There's been a mindset shift for me for sure. In 2025, and I think, it's been quite liberating, but it's also, so like Seamus, back in March, we joked about, you'll be banging out videos on LinkedIn by the end of the year, and I was like, no way, I don't do social media, I don't do podcasts, but I've actually really enjoyed it, and I've loved. Because, I suppose any financial planning firm, you've got a limited capacity for people that you'll see and impact. But I know that some of the stuff that I've put out, on Facebook or LinkedIn has landed with people who'll never be a client.
Right.
And it's had a positive impact. I've heard that from other people. And that's been brilliant. I love that, and it's like I was never excited. I mean, I'm quite geeky about the investment stuff. I enjoy that, but I'm under no illusion that any client finds that remotely interesting. So, but what I like, one of the biggest challenges I have is getting people to enjoy their money and spend it on things that line up with what's important to them. And I think that's what I love doing. If we can get people to, Dad and Derek, both of them always said if someone hadn't spent their money by 75, it was just going to grow and be passed on to their kids, who would then go on holiday, change their car, all of that stuff that you were maybe not doing yourself. So, I mean, I had a client last week phone me up, and she's 75. She's got well over £1 million invested, and she was wondering about changing her bed. And, genuinely, So I think, I suppose, the people who have money are often the people who've been quite frugal.
Yeah.
But they have to turn that switch at some point. And I had a lady in last week. She wasn't the client, but we were just helping her out. Her husband had passed on. And she was in tears saying, she wishes they'd spent the money while he was alive having experiences together. And that's the sort of thing that if I can bring out of people what they actually want to do deep down, but there's a fear around doing it, or we'll do it again, we'll do it in another year's time, or it might not happen. Yeah. So that's the stuff that gives me a lot of meaning.
It's a powerful. I'll come back to that thought.
Okay.
I want to go back to this journey that you went through, and then we met again. I think it was earlier this year, and there was just something different about you. Where you were like, actually, now I am, wanting to grow. I've been seeing a coach. I hear this what you just described a lot from advisors, which is, if I build a business, if I grow the business, I fear that I am going to destroy my personal life or my lifestyle, which I quite enjoy. I've had this conversation with many good financial planners. And by that, I also mean younger, even people think that this is like a, older, younger thing, but I've met so many advisors in their 40s who have a good business, a great firm, doing well. But then I say, so where do you want to take this? Because I am like this. So where do you want to take that? And they just say to me, no, I'm, because I worry that if I, start to grow the business, I am going to not see my kids. I am going to not, they describe all these things that I, as a business person, don't recognize. I say to people, I say, timeline today has 85 people. We're entrusted, with 12 plus billion of hopes and dreams.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I see my kids every day. I read them bedtime story every blooming night, unless I am, traveling, or whatever, which is not very, very often. Why do you think we've got to this? I love your description, self-limiting belief that if we grow, and by the way, financial planning is a life-altering, life-changing, is a business that makes positive difference in the lives of people.
Yeah.
Why have we associated helping more people with ruining our own lifestyles?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I thought, for a long time. And I do remember that conversation where I said to you, I'm not interested in, any more growth. And growth for growth's sake does not appeal either. So like one thing, and I don't want this to sound, I'm just going to say it.
Please.
I've realized that I want to have quite a ambitious given target as well for the company each year. So I've no interest in writing checks, to charities that do work. and but if I've always had a thing about, I remember going to Gavin, somebody Worthstone.
Gavin Wilson,
yeah. I went to one of his events.
I know Gavin,
and it was was it St. Barnabas House or something? It was like a private members club in London.
Right.
And I remember it was the first time I saw something and I was like, okay, so they're taking people off the street, giving them a real career path, but also a really high-end service.
Right.
So not that, because I'm not interested in catering, but I would love, within the next 3 to 5 years, either find something that we could support financially that is not giving out handouts don't appeal, but if it can help people achieve something, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it could be that there's something comes out of it that doesn't exist now, or it could be I find something to align myself with, but I would love to be making, a real, that's going to be part of the target.
But don't you, and that is, incredible. But the way I think about this is that, the business of financial planning, as you said, is so rewarding.
It is.
Doing it well and growing it above, I saw some stat the other day, like for 2024, financial advice revenue grew by 6%.
Say that again.
In 2024, according to FCA data, financial advice revenue grew by 6%.
Okay.
Then I went to go and look at portfolio 60, portfolio 60 grew something in the same year of the other of 12-13%. And so I'm thinking to myself, that, you know, the growth in the revenue is not compared to market growth. You know, that's almost all market growth minus maybe withdrawals that clients made. So I guess the point I'm trying to make in a poor way is it's, you know, having the aspiration to, you know, having the aspiration to, you know, to do some charitable, you know, part of the business is great, but what actually kickstarted your renewed sense of growth was actually that sense of purpose in realizing that you had the values of, you know, family, fitness, and now you've added financial planning, making the difference in other people's life through financial planning.
Yeah, I think like in no small, I mean, wasn't expecting to say this, but my wife, 2019, she strongly suggested that me seeing a therapist might be a good idea.
My wife has suggested that a few times.
I have a good mate who is a therapist. So I said, if you were me, who would you go to? So he recommended a 70-year-old German lady in somebody I would never have picked out in a million years. And there was a lot of very uncomfortable conversations and even more uncomfortable silences. I mean, she could let you sit for 10, 12 minutes saying nothing until you... Anyway, that went on for maybe 2 or 3 years. And I think doing that work on myself was... I think that was essential. That gave me... because you can't ask other people, or you don't even know the questions to ask other people if it's not, if you don't, that old know thyself kind of thing. It sounds a bit woo maybe, but that was really important. And then you get the confidence to ask, just why not? Just ask them, what's the money for and what is that you want to do? So gaining that confidence, then as I had more and more of those conversations, I realized this is the stuff that really draw, you know, is the connection between their wealth, their money, and their values, and I think that spurred on, gave me a renewed sense of joy in what I did, but it's still. Yeah, it wasn't until last year, whenever I got to the point where I redid my own financial plan, realized, you'll be financial independent in X number of years, and then I'm 45. Is this all there is? Do I take over now, or do I try and increase the impact I can have on my existing clients, and then putting myself out there more as I have done this past year? I can impact even more people, and if I bring in the giving element to a greater extent, I can impact even, so that's the stuff that has got me interested in it. I still have, there's some trepidation around the time that it takes and the impact that might have. But I mean, at the minute, like I said to Seamus back in February and March time, that I do have plenty of time during the day to twiddle my thumbs. And I would like less of that.
Right.
And there's none of that. Right. So that's great.
Interesting.
He would say, that, your day can be filled with low priority distractions if the high priority stuff is not front and center.
I like that.
And that's been so, since I got clear on that I actually really enjoy building wealth for clients, for myself, and the fact that those two things are linked is great. Getting clear on the fact that family, health and fitness and the wealth building financial planning, there's a balance to be found. I had actually channeled a lot of energy over the last number of years into cycling and competing.
Right.
And I think that was the cycling was the first time that I had got rid of the self-limiting beliefs. Could I qualify for the Worlds? Could I actually go to the Worlds? That sort of thing. And then, but I hadn't yet explored it with business stuff. So I think the cycling is probably going to it's going to be down-regulated for next year. I'll still do it, but I've no real desire to compete.
Because that's the question I was going to ask you.
Okay.
So now that you are, for lack of a better phrase, now that you are back on the saddle.
Yeah. Nice. I see what you did. You'll be proud of that one.
Yeah, I like that one. Now that you're back on the saddle of growth, do you see, have you actually sacrificed anything, any other thing that's important to you? Right.
Definitely not. But I think, so like health, fitness, family, business are the top three for me.
You're still pretty fit, I can see.
Yeah, yeah. But I've probably cut a few hours a week out of the cycling. But I want to do that. So I've definitely put more energy and time into the business and the social media stuff, and I've really surprised myself how much I've enjoyed putting myself out there.
Yeah,
I've seen a
couple of your videos recently on social media.
That was a big deal. Put one out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't sacrificed anything, which has been that's been great. You're right. You don't need to.
Yeah, I want to go back to the point you made earlier about getting clients to switch into that spending, enjoying mode.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
How do you navigate that conversation? What have you found that works, or what doesn't work?
I just find being very blunt and open with them. Because with a new client, it's very easy. You have that conversation from the get-go, in the first meeting. But what the money's for. There were guys a couple who I took on last week, and I think they really resonated with that, particularly the lady. But what's the point in having 3 or 4 million quid at this point in our lives if we're not planning to spend big and give big to the kids? So, but having the conversation with introducing it to clients who've been with you 10 or 15 years is where you just have to at some point be blunt. Look, last year you had X, now you've got X plus. 3 years ago you had, next year realistically you're what is there anything that you're not doing? That should be, because I found the whole money script conversation really fascinating too, and most of our clients would fall into the, we've saved hard, we've stinted ourselves, but you can't wait too long, because health deteriorates, death comes, you're looking after elderly parents, all of those things. So I'm always trying to get people to spend. Every meeting agenda for the review is there's an item on there about withdrawals. How much are you planning to take out extra? Now, sometimes they don't, because genuinely, like a lot of our happiest clients have a really low cost of living, and the stuff that they like, a hike in the woods, of which there are plenty, it doesn't cost a lot, and gardening, so there is, not everybody wants a cruise or whatever.
I do wonder though if this new change that's coming with pensions being dragged into the inheritance tax net, if that is at least a spur for people to say, well, I'm going to spend a bit more of that money rather than hand it over to Miss Reeves. So
I would say so. Yeah. So in one way, it's let's take the positive out of it, because I think that's right, because we've so many clients with large pension pots which have never been touched and realistically won't. But if there's going to be a huge tax charge on it on death, they might as well take it out now. So be keen to explore that whenever it comes.
Fascinating stuff. It's been really good talking to you. So let's look forward a bit, and I don't, this isn't like I'm asking you to make a public commitment, and if it doesn't happen that way, Abraham's gonna come and get you.
You might.
But so as you look forward, you've now recreated your own, financial plan. You've created, a renewed vision of what you want for the business. Take me to 2030. Describe what's going on with Gibson, what's going on with you. How many competitions have you won? The kids are obviously, they will be probably out of the house by then. Maybe not.
Yeah, it's
maybe,
mad, isn't it? Yeah.
Tell
well,
me.
Okay, on that one, I mean, obviously, like, my dad started the company.
Yeah.
I'm in it. I would love that to be the case, that one of them or both of them are in it in some way.
Is there been a conversation?
Oh, my son sort of jokes that it might be. He doesn't joke. That's the point. He sees it as his fallback if things don't work out for him. I can come in and take over, Dad.
Yeah.
Literally, he's had that. He's 12. Yeah.
Right.
But I would love that to be an option. I kind of like the idea of building something or building upon something that was already started by someone else.
Incredible.
My dad, that could carry on. So, yeah. I mean, I again, like Linda and I, and the four of us, we have a lovely lifestyle, but there's nothing that we do that costs, we love being outside genuinely. And for me, it's, over the next 5 years, it'll be maximizing the experiences with the kids. Linda's really good at pushing that one, and doing as much as possible. So we've, what motivates me a lot is I would absolutely hate to get to the end of my life and get a glimpse into what could have been. So it's about, maxing out my potential, and just I'm really keen to push that now to see what that could look like, what sort of impact we could have, and again, like that's something that motivates me with clients too. Like if they're questioning doing something, be it a big financial decision or a life change, it's what's the cost of not doing it or not giving it a try. So yeah, I'll give it a good go.
If you had a magic wand, what is it in the profession or the wider industry of financial planning would you change?
I don't know what I would change, but what I would love to see is, because I've got a lot more inbound inquiries now since I started and so much of it we just can't help those people. Because of our fees makes it, so I would love there to be something that we could direct people to that would, I would love to see something in that space, more for the mass market that does a really good job, because I mean the information's out there, but I suppose all information without action is pretty meaningless. So it's I think that's what we'd love to see, because with every regulation, more and more people are pushed out. Being realistic,
we've seen that, like financial planners shedding the lower end clients, and what we do has become, it is always been in many ways, but it has become more and more of a luxury, high value, high impact service.
Yes, and that's something that I'm keen to explore for myself and our firm too. Is there a way that we could have an impact for those people as well? Not there yet, I don't know. I'll keep you posted.
Good stuff. No, David Gibson, thank you for your time. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for coming on the pod.
Thank you for having me.
That's a wrap on today's show. Massive thanks to my production crew, especially Jake Osha, Melissa Canham, and the entire team. And of course, to our sponsor, Timeline, the market-leading provider of integrated planning technology and model portfolio service to advisors. I do hope you've enjoyed today's show. Head over to Apple Podcast and give us your review there. Until next time, goodbye.